Hello, good morning. I'm Grant Cohn. This is an emergency 49ers quality control meeting. I'm going a little earlier than I normally do because I got to get down to Santa Clara early today. The Niners have practice at like 12. Well, they speak at around 12:30, so I'm going to get out of here around 9. Don't normally stream this early. I got back from Tampa early this morning, like around 1 in the morning. Stayed an extra day in Florida just to save money. It's more expensive to fly on Mondays and Tuesdays, and I'm trying to not throw money away. So that's what I did. And I didn't stream yesterday. I didn't make a video on the big Brandon Aiyuk kerfluffle. That was interesting. So why don't we start with that? Because that was a big topic on Monday, and I just sidestepped it because someone didn't. And you got to be careful here. So what is the deal with Brandon Aiyuk? I'm sure you guys saw this story. Was it a non-story? The story came out in NBC Sports Bay Area that Brandon Aiyuk had deleted all of his Niners content on Instagram and unfollowed the team. Then it came out that he unfollowed the team at least a year ago and nothing had changed. And he hadn't taken down his Niners stuff recently, and he still had a link to his Niners profile. So nothing about his Instagram has changed. Also, if you're a real Brandon Aiyuk aficionado, you know that he sends his cryptic messages on his YouTube posts, not Instagram. So that felt like a nothing burger, and it kind of blew up in NBC Sports face. They took it down. You wonder if the Niners asked them to. But I feel like the reason that story came out is because it's obvious that something is weird with the Niners and Brandon Aiyuk. And maybe if you're trying to look for evidence, if you feel like you already know what's going on, I just need some evidence so I can make the story. That would be it. Although the more interesting evidence to me, because this was wrong, the social media stuff, and that's always flimsy evidence too. Like he changed his pictures on Instagram. Cool. The thing about practice and Brandon Aiyuk, I noticed this too, and I know a lot of people are trying to act like it's no big deal. Brandon was making a point to come out to practice for weeks, starting like week 1. He would do it before games, and he would run, all these routes, and he would cut and he would sprint, and it seemed like he was trying to send a message to someone. He's a man of few words, unless he's on YouTube community posts. And I don't know, the message I got as a journalist watching him run is that he's almost back. He looks good. And he wants us to think that. He's showing us, he's proud. Hey guys, look at me. It's Brandon Aiyuk, and I'm almost back. And then a few weeks ago, John Lynch said he's not even close to coming back. And really, since around then, we haven't seen Brandon Aiyuk on the practice field in front of the media before games, as far as I know. So is that a coincidence? It could be a complete coincidence. Maybe Brandon Aiyuk decided that he doesn't like running at 1 o'clock and would prefer to run at 11 or 3. It's totally possible. I don't know. Maybe he's running around like John Lynch said. I'm looking out my window right now. I'm seeing him. Okay. Maybe he just decided that the media doesn't deserve to watch him rehab anymore, although he seemed really eager for us to see just a few weeks ago. So what's my interpretation of Brandon Aiyuk's behavior? Or what's going on with Brandon Aiyuk? I think Brandon Aiyuk wants to play. This is just a guess. So I'm not saying I have any sources here. I'm just trying to read the tea leaves better than NBC Sports Bay Area did. I think Brandon wants to play. I think Brandon thinks he's close to ready, if not ready. And I think the Niners, when I say the Niners, they're not like one, they're an organization, but I think there's different factions. I'll get into that later today. But I think most of the organization doesn't want him to play. And again, I could be wrong here. I'm just guessing. But I think most of the organization doesn't want him to play. Here's my thought process. Most of the organization wanted to trade him to the Steelers. They were literally on the phone with Pittsburgh making the trade, which means John Lynch wanted to trade him. Parag wanted to trade him. The Yorks wanted to trade him. They signed off. And then it's a famous story. John Lynch said it like at the last minute, like it's a marriage that Kyle Shanahan was trying to break up or save. He comes running in to the front office, like physically running, I imagine out of breath, breathless, to say, don't trade Brandon Aiyuk. Me and him just worked it out. Because it seems like Kyle Shanahan and Brandon Aiyuk have a pretty good relationship. They didn't when they were younger, when they were younger, but they seem like they're pretty good. Kyle got him paid. Kyle wanted him here. Kyle went overruled everyone in the organization. We have to have this guy. We're going to give him $30 million a year. It's reasonable. And they said, okay, Kyle, for you. We all say that Kyle runs the organization. I think that he has the power to overrule people when he wants to. And I think this was one example of him overruling everyone. And I don't think it worked out well for Kyle, because even before Brandon Aiyuk hurt his knee, he wasn't playing well. He seemed like a guy who, does he really love football or does he love cars? He just bought 8 of them. Or was it 4? Do you love football or do you love the things football can bring you? Because all those things have been brought in courtesy of Kyle Shanahan. If you don't really love football and you just want, all that stuff, well, now you have all that stuff. So how are you going to play? And it wasn't great. Maybe it wasn't that he doesn't love football anymore. Maybe he doesn't love the Niners anymore.
PrizePicks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use promo code Cohn, COHN, and download the app now.
It's possible that while Kyle and Brandon, have an understanding and can work together, they have a good working business relationship after years. It's possible. It doesn't seem like, it's possible that Aiyuk and Lynch don't. That Aiyuk and the rest of have you ever heard Aiyuk say anything appreciative to the Yorks for, giving them generational wealth, or to Lynch? We know that during that contract negotiation, when it was getting ugly during training camp, Aiyuk came out one day, walked across the field, gave Kyle a hug, and snubbed John Lynch. Lynch came in for a hug, and Aiyuk was like, "You're good. Let's just keep it at like a little bro dap." So I think it's possible that Aiyuk never got over that organization. He's a little sensitive, as am I, and that a lot of people in the organization never really felt like they needed to make it up to Aiyuk because they don't want him here. And the only person who really advocated for him was Kyle. And now I don't know if Kyle has that kind of power, because this is, again, an organizational thing. It's money. It's the Yorks' money. And if they wanted to trade him before they gave him the extension, which we know that's a fact, they were not only they want to trade him, they were trading him to the Steelers before Kyle Shanahan overruled it. Then it's been reported that they were trying to trade him this offseason when he was still when he couldn't even really run. John Lynch was asked straight up at the combine, and he was like, well, the thing about that is we have a tough salary cap situation, yada, yada, yada. Not like, no, why would we trade Brandon Aiyuk? It's like, well, he's a good player and we have some financial issues. So you acknowledged it twice before the extension, last year, February this year. You think all of a sudden, what has changed that would make them want to have him on other than Kyle, what would make John want to have him on the team? If they all regret this extension, and they've given him probably $50 million already. It seems to me that what the Niners are doing is making sure, well, I don't know, I'm just guessing here. Why isn't he playing if he's ready? That's my assumption. He's ready to go, and he's not playing. The Niners don't want him to play. He's one of the few players they're not putting pressure to come back early. Why? Because if he plays and gets hurt again, and they can't trade him this offseason, I think that would be the worst case scenario for this team. They were intent on trading him before the extension. Kyle ended that. They tried to trade him this offseason before he was really tradable. Now he's getting close to being healthy. Ideally, you put him back on the field for a couple of games and showcase him before you trade him, just to show the whole league, man, he's back 100% and he's motivated. But that could backfire. He could go back out there, get hurt, and get more guaranteed money next year on the Niners, or he could look not that great. If your number one concern is to get that contract off the books, then maybe what you do is you just keep him in mothballs, don't let him play football, and just wait for any offer. You want Brandon Aiyuk for a 6th round pick? Will you take his whole contract? Great, thanks. That's my best guess here, and I have no inside information. But it seems so clear that they regret, as an organization, extending Aiyuk. The only one who pushed for it was Kyle. I don't know how Kyle even feels about Aiyuk anymore, considering, they have Ricky Pearsall, and I don't know if he wants, if that's the hill he's going to die on. And it seems that maybe the organization is intent on fixing this, undoing the mistake that they did, thanks to Kyle Shanahan. So we'll see. My theory here, if I'm right, is that Ayuk's not going to play again for the Niners. I don't think he will. Or if he does, it'll be like one game at the end of the season just to show the rest of the league that he can run. But I think that the organization is now intent on getting this contract off the books and not paying Brandon Aiyuk another dollar than they have to. And maybe that's, an overreaction. I don't know that Kyle Shanahan would feel that way. But it seems like this particular contract is the one the Niners regret the most. And I think it's personal between them. I'm again guessing, but the stuff that Brandon Aiyuk has said on his YouTube posts makes me feel like he's still upset about it. I wouldn't be surprised if John Lynch is still upset about it, and it doesn't seem like they have a particularly good relationship. So that's my interpretation of the Brandon Aiyuk drama. There's more drama here. You think 85 playing this week, fantasy purposes. Here's why I don't like people asking me fantasy questions. This happened last week. Someone was like, should I play Juwan Jennings or Kendrick Bourne? And I was like, I don't know. Juwan? And you could say what you can understand why I would say that. Then Juwan plays off. I didn't know he had 5 broken ribs. And Bourne goes for 142 again. And then the guy tweets me and says, it's your fault I lost the fantasy football game. Nah, motherfucker. It's your fault. You decided to ask me advice. I'm not your freaking I'm not on your team. You got it. I think the number one thing with fantasy football is you got to take responsibility for your own decisions, man. It's a life lesson here. Okay.